Dennis contacted me in the morning and said, instead of going into S4, we're going to go to Indian Springs. So we went to Indian Springs that morning, and that's where I was debriefed and interrogated. There were a couple guys in the room that they sat me down with, and they were more angry than anything else. I don't think they exactly knew what to say, but they kept going over, didn't you understand the security briefings? And, you know, one of the guys had a sidearm, a rifle, that he kept poking me with. And eventually they brought up the fact that they said, you know, we've been monitoring your phone, and we've been reviewing your clearance, and there've been some problems with it. Your wife's been having an affair with her flight instructor, and here's the transcripts. And, you know, they just kind of explained it, opened a couple places and was reading stuff into me, some particularly unpleasant areas. And I kind of put most of this out of my mind. They let me go after that. And I think they were going to yank the clearance anyway because of what was going on. They were simply waiting to see if it was something that was going to fizzle out or not. And apparently it wasn't. It's something I don't like to talk about. It's upsetting, and it's probably the least of what I remember about the entire situation. We were born in America, 20 years in the dawn of America, and it's not so terrible in America.
Hello, and welcome to American Dreamland. I'm Max Chavez.
I'm Misty Stone.
And I'm back. Christopher's back.
What, Christopher? Are you going to tell the audience about your extended spring break?
Spring break.
Spring break forever.
I was trying to avoid being in internet training. I haven't been doing a very good job of it so far. But it's mainly been like sequestered to like my Blue Sky account, which I'm not going to tell anyone about.
Yeah, don't. Oh my God. I have been obviously posting would be good for the show. So I thought,
don't
maybe
want to, though.
Here's the thing.
I get the post. I'm susceptible to the posters madness. I can't. I can't get attention. I can't.
And I think this is a fair criticism, at least for me. I lack a poster soul because it's like there are too many Nazis on Twitter, and then I look at Blue Sky, I'm just like,
been great before the Nazis got control of Twitter.
Yeah,
I can't do Blue Sky. I don't know. It's just
it's too woke. I hate to use that terminology, but it's woke 1.0, and I think what's hurting it more is we do have dark woke now, and that's actually a lot of fun. So I like being I think black people are human, and if you disagree with me, you should fuck a dog. Like, I like being able to say that. I don't want to have to consider their feelings. Also, let's just get some other stuff out of the way to acknowledge why you're probably not going to hear us talk about it in the future. I can't believe I'm using this as a transition. We're all aware of the Cars for Kids thing, and to that I say, show notes. Moss Planet video. If you really want more, look up his interview on True Anon.
That was a good interview.
That's that is one of the things where it's like, I know, especially given what we're talking about this episode, it seems weird to be like, oh, but you clearly will do things that have been covered a million times. There's not a lot of angles to this. And honestly, insert clip of this on.
URA has designed, I don't know for what reason, I don't know why they thought that this was a good way to like promote the charity or anything like that. But basically, URA has a character called Five-ish. It's a $5 bill. It's an anthropomorphic $5 bill that runs around all over the state of Israel. And there's a bunch of like Orthodox Jewish kids in the state of Israel that like chase him around. It feels fake, but it's not. And they're just, I mean, it's a money funneling operation. it sounds like an unbelievably anti-Semitic conspiracy theory, except it's just a thing that's been happening.
But yes, Cars for Kids is an elaborate scam by the Orthodox Jewish community of Lakewood, New Jersey. And even with everything, Tyler Oliveira still came off as an anti-Semite, so that should tell you where the right is right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm in Alaska.
Yeah. How is the real America, the frontier?
So I'm doing seasonal work. I'm housekeeping at this sort of like rundown lodge that like mainly isn't their main customer base is like retirees from cruise ships. Like middle class retirees from cruise ships. And tip your housekeeper. That's what I have to say. It's like I think I've only gotten one hotel on my own, and I didn't really think about it, but now like I'm always gonna tip my housekeeper.
I've never thought about it either. That's a good point.
Housekeeping. It's. I mean, I always knew it was bad, but you still can't comprehend how bad.
Yeah. It's I you know what? Braver than the troops is what I'll say.
We haven't dealt with like extreme like bodily fluid messes, which I'm thankful
That's
for
good.
so far.
Mm-hmm.
But just I don't understand how like even 4 people can make so much trash in one day. It just boggles my mind. Anyway, but it's real beautiful up here. It's like amazing. Like I was telling Max and Misty, so there's like mountains, like really steep mountains, like almost all the way around where I'm at, and my brain's just like, this is the most defensible place I've ever seen.
This is okay. So I know we're like back in the day. By the way, this is also, should we make this our unofficial 1 year anniversary? Because like I'm doing all the back end. No. Technically, it was over a month ago. We just not only did we completely ignore it, I think Misty and I not only recorded, we also released an episode on that day and did not acknowledge
so you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the excuse we'll use. Not how poorly organized we are on the admin part of this. Yeah, no, it's I was gonna say, like, I know we were like, oh, let's do a fun podcast about cults, and it's just turned into like weird bits of like enshittification and gender essentialism. Because of course you're like, yeah, so I'm in the most beautiful place I've ever been in my life, and because of the mountains, I know it's defensible. And it's like, yeah, I think that too.
Yeah.
But you know what? I was gonna be like, should I do a thing? Like, I have to spoil it, especially given what I'm going to use as the cold open for this episode. Today we're talking about, we're going to be doing a lot of UFO episodes. We've kind of been bundling them up together.
Well, that's what they're trying to use now.
Yeah, it's what they're trying to use, and honestly, this is just such a deep level of psychosis in so many ways. And I think the best place to start is someone we've mentioned on the podcast before, which is Bob Lazar. And I think given how much fun Misty and I had on our Fresno Nightcrawler episode last week of just like how weird and exotic things are, it's like, I think it's time for our 1 year anniversary to do a sequel to at least Max's 2 favorite episodes that we've ever done, which are Mel's Hole and John Lear. Which the reason I say it's a sequel is because Bob Lazar was a good friend of the late great John Lear. And much like Mel from Mel's Hole, is an insane narcissistic liar who will just not admit to anything and cannot, and unlike Mel, cannot just go back into the background of just like, well, I did that. It's like, I have one really profitable con and I have to continue that on. Which I guess is a spoiler for how we feel about Bob Lazar. And I'll just say it. Folks, to research, I did the primary research for this episode, or at least the traditional part. So I watched the new Bob Lazar documentary. And I have to say this. By and large, I like the Jeremy Corbell documentary a lot more, just because Jeremy Corbell is an idiot, but also a much more interesting person. I only learned one fact about Bob Lazar that I did not already know as someone who has followed him for decades. But that one fact, folks, when I heard it, I had to pause the movie and I laughed for a solid 5 minutes because we got another divorced guy. The other reason it's a sequel to Mel's Hole.
It's a very common archetype for the divorced guy.
It is so much, much like almost every Gen Xer and baby boomer, the moment they realized life was kind of fucked was when Kennedy got shot and like a million emo kids were born. Like, divorce has just created so many embittered con men in the latter half and early part of the 20th and 21st century.
True. I still think his first wife is the most interesting, but we can talk about that later.
Oh, we're definitely, you know what? I realize, like, it's talking about well-known territory. Misty, you taught me a hell of a lot more about Bob Lazar than that documentary ostensibly about his life did. So kudos to you. But just as a kind of background, before we get into just debunking and the larger meaning, is who is Bob Lazar and what is he most famous for? So here, I don't know, person we definitely enjoy and talk a lot about this podcast, George Knapp, reporter for a news station in Vegas back in the late 80s. By the late 80s, had become famous for his interviews with John Lear, as we talk about, and I think episode 21, Unidentified Flying Failson, or something like that. And it's all about like how that was the real start of the kind of contemporary 90s UFO movement. And the other part of that was Bob Lazar, who, under the pseudonym of Dennis, gave several interviews to George Knapp, where he was allegedly a worker at the S4 section of Groom Lake, which he called properly Area 51. So that's kind of how we got that terminology. It's not actually from Roswell, it's from Bob Lazar. And talking about how, as a physicist working there, he was able to see alien technology, an potential alien corpse, and the flight of an alien spacecraft that we could not explain, that we had had for a while, and that various government officials
I feel like it's
were
rare for a physicist to go that cranky like that, because, like, you know, I feel like they get the crank to where, like, I am a big brain and I can understand all of everything, and they just talk out their ass. But this is just a whole nother level of crank.
I agree, but I think you're making a slight logic error, Chris.
Okay.
Because you said he's a physicist. I said he claimed to be a physicist.
Okay, so he's lying. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I usually take people at their
100%.
word, but you did mention he was a con man. But, like, so you think that he did work there, but he just wasn't a physicist? I think people love claiming to be physicists when like they don't really know anything about it.
So I think I said this in our RFK episode, where it's like, I don't want to tell these people how to do their jobs, but like, why is RFK just like holding a bird that he looks like he's gonna eat under a cloth so that God won't judge him? Like, you're supposed to be like, hey, transportation secretary, I found this cute thing. Like, promote the admin, not just like, I'm an insane man and here's me with a cute small animal. Like, that's terrible PR. Much like Bob Lazar, like, there is a way where you could, if you just wanted this story out there, or if you wanted to actually have a sustainable lie and credibility, there is a very easy story you can tell using the facts that we've been able to prove. Bob Lazar proves none of them. And yeah, like he basically said there's aliens. He's John Lear. First of all, you've lived, I guess we'll say, a controversial life when not only did I watch 5 videos that were all titled "Is Bob Lazar Telling the Truth?" They were on a playlist on the Lex Friedman podcast channel. Lex Friedman has like 5 videos where he's just asking people like, so what's the deal with Bob Lazar? And everyone's just like, well, Bob's an interesting fella.
He is interesting. I find him interesting, though, for the actual things that happen in his life.
Oh my God, that's so like much like this is if all of the conjecture we kind of put forward on what we thought was Mel's actual deal because of like clues he gave, Bob Lazar like covers all of that up and basically lived that life.
Right. Like, he covers up all the interesting aspects of his life where it's just mind-numbing a little bit, because I'm like, Bob, you did live an interesting life.
So yeah, basically there's a lot of things we can kind of do it like beat by beat, but like let's just go on to this. Like, I feel we should just get into straight up like, you all, it's easy to look up his story. I actually think the Jeremy Corbell documentary is a little interesting, if too like woo-woo and credulous for him. I liked it a lot more than the new one that came out, because there are a couple moments in the Corbell one where Bob Lazar's kind of just a dick. So he's just kind of like, oh, you're just a difficult person to deal with. It's much more human, as opposed to just like, look at how amazing this man is. But yeah, let's just get straight into like why Bob Lazar is full of shit. And I think the best one, and Misty, I know I shared it with you, a kind of huge Reddit thread is his credentials are bullshit. He claims that he was able to work at Area 51 because he had a master's degree in physics.
No, I gotta call bullshit on that one. Like, you can get a master's in physics, right? You can, but there are no master's programs. So, like, he would have gotten into a PhD program and then quit after he got his master's. And only some of them do that. Some of them let you do that. So, like, if he's such a big brain, like, physics guy, he would have just gotten his PhD.
Makes sense.
What are you talking about? MIT and Caltech are known for constantly letting you go to both schools simultaneously, and just kind of, yeah, he claims to have a master's in physics.
What kind of physics?
From in physics.
You got a special, like, you got your master's, you specialized, right? So he would have said his specialization.
No, just physics.
No. Like, I only had a bachelor's, and I still specialized. Like, sometimes I won't say, like, to the layperson, it wouldn't make any difference. Sometimes if I really want to talk to them about it, I will actually describe my specialization.
I mean, I
had to specialize in my master's.
Yeah, everyone does.
Yeah, everybody. It's most master's programs. And then the fact that he doesn't have a thesis.
Yeah, I was gonna like go into this. So, like, first of all, his claims are just absurd on their face of saying that one, I went to first of all, he doesn't claim he claims he went to a completely different school that's just like a normal I think he said he goes to CSUN or Cal State Northridge,
Mm.
which I gotta say, maybe like Bob Lazar, maybe I'm too cynical because he fits the perfect thing of like, I can sense bullshit. Is you're kind of just like this loser from the valley, which, you know, arguably I am one of them. Fair enough.
What
Not
would
disagreeing with
I
that.
be from the valley?
I'm talking about the San Fernando
Right.
Valley. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, loser from the valley. I empathize. I've been through a master's program, so like, even though I was in the liberal arts or whatever, like the structures of these programs are so similar that I'm like, this is not how that works. Especially at the institutions you're claiming to be from, and then also just like this weird alien, like, you know, I think he has flaws, but I still really respect like George Knapp of like being just like a like leather shoe reporter like on UFO issues. I think that's kind of rad. But like that makes me insulted on George Knapp's behalf of like Bob Lazar trying to pull one over on him. But so yes, let's just go through the basics. Is he claims he went to Caltech and MIT. There is no evidence that he ever went to either school. Nobody who says that they were a classmate of Bob Lazar at grad school. No record of publications while he was a grad student, presumably assisting someone while you're doing graduate work for publication. No students who said that he was their TA. So, like, you have all of these things that would indicate you went to a place. No one who works at MIT says they know who Bob Lazar is. And then, like Misty alluded to, it's like, and this is like why I think I get a little incredulous, and I understand Misty's anger at people buying him. It's like, you can just lie and write a fake thesis and say, here's my thesis. It proves I went to the school. Like, he hasn't even gone through the effort of like, well, if I didn't go to MIT, why do I? Yeah, like you would have a thesis, especially in the 1980s, like when you had to print a bajillion copies of it to like get credit. And
he's the type of con man that doesn't want to do his homework.
Right.
It's not. He can't even say like, oh, here's why I can't give you. It's like, it's a point he never thought to address, which anyone who has finished a master's program would be able to show or explain why that part of their record was missing.
Exactly. And I think what annoys me, and it's really, I think it's just the Joe Rogans of the world who are just convinced. You can convince Joe Rogan and his audience of anything.
I like Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
You can just convince that man of everything, but just the fact that they just have, I feel like
trans people are real though.
No. Maybe if you get on with him for 10 minutes, because I feel like, yeah. Chris, maybe. You never know. Because honestly,
I gotta be honest,
I just talked to him about lifting. Right? No, like, he'd have to not know initially.
Right.
And then just spend like 15 minutes talk to him about lifting, and then we talk about like performance enhancing drugs, and then I'll be like, oh, by the way, I'm trying. And then he probably doesn't even. No, actually, he has talked about the whole like they're transing our femoids. We need our baby makers or whatever.
Yeah, he has the very lib take on trans people of like, I respect them. They just have to live in their own little sections and don't deal with me in my purity.
No, I feel like the libs, a lot of the libs, at least they can see, especially trans men, as like, oh, it's a social contagion type thing.
Yeah.
Which
It's
I'm going to be honest, Chris. I do think you could do it. I think that you could really open Joe Rogan's eyes and make him a strong trans ally. Here's the problem, though. It's not because I think you have great persuasion or rhetorical skills, though I'm not knocking those. I think you were just a convincing enough person and have enough respectability that Joe Rogan will just inherently be open-minded to listen to what you have to say. And he will only be a trans ally until he talks to another person. Because then his whole thing will be not even like, oh, I now hate this. It's just whatever the next person talks to him about is going to be, yeah, no, have you heard that actually black people came to America first? I know it sounds crazy.
right, because
but
that's the person he is, and he just, I think he sees another man telling him something, and he was like, it's 2026, we know all of these things about Bob, but he's like, you know what, Bob? You're right. You did reverse engineer alien technology. And you are a physicist.
Well, the thing is I think why so many people are like, is Bob Lazar, like, it's easy when you know to look out for the stuff of like how he's lying and being and bullshitting you. But I think for the normal person who's just like, he says enough of the right things, and you're right, because he is just like a white dude, it's just like, I went to MIT. There's no record of it. Well, of course, the government's trying to cover it up. I don't know why. Like, by being aggressive and saying you are also confused, people think that is genuine and sincere. So I think that's why a ton of people buy that. I also think I think it's just confirming to priors. And I'll go into George Knapp a little bit. Is like, George Knapp has openly said, like, I kind of could tell Bob Lazar was lying to me about going to MIT. But I think what it is it's like, it's how you use it. And I think that, you know, one of the things that helped Bob Lazar is he described what the process of working at Area 51 was like. And George Knapp was like, and then all this stuff came out, like, you had to fly to get there, you were in these like sealed buses, and like, so no one could see you or identify the workers, and that came out through disclosure and stuff. But also, George Knapp had a lot of insiders in the aerospace industry as a reporter in Las Vegas. So the reason he knew Bob Lazar was telling the truth is because other people had told George Knapp that's what it's like to work in Area 51. He probably was just
a janitor or some shit.
Oh, that's exactly what he was. I think he was like an electrician or a technician, which is why there's records of him in these places. But that's the thing, is George Knapp just been like, he didn't do the extra step of like, well, people told me this is what it's like, and that conforms to the story. It couldn't be that, yeah, maybe Bob Lazar has friends like that who then told Bob Lazar, just like people told you, George Knapp. Doesn't mean he knows these things. But yeah, he's lying about that, which again is problematic because that's what he's using as a credential of like why he was working there. Yeah, no, they erased the records of me being there. But don't worry, my education history isn't important, even though that's ostensibly the only reason I know about this stuff.
But the thing is, I feel like people, like, if he didn't tell the obvious lie that he like has all these physics degrees, people maybe would actually believe him more, maybe.
No, exactly. Here's the thing. Bob Lazar has a very believable story if he's like, hi, I'm an electrician who also happens to be a race car driver. Hence, I know something about physics. Therefore, all these scientists were like, hey, let's show the Rube some alien technology. And it's like, oh, isn't that shocking? And then because I had an understanding of science, I knew how insane this was. So here's all the things I witnessed and would easily be able to have access to because no one thought to look at me as a security risk.
Yeah, because I think if you're,
And here's all
I don't know really know the time scale of this, but if you're an electrician, you have to know some physics. You don't have to know a lot, but you have to know basic stuff.
Yeah, he also tries to he claims that there's evidence of him because he had a number at Los Alamos, which again, his number at Los Alamos had the marking that he was a contractor, meaning he was working for a contracting firm, but it was a long-term contract. So they just gave him contact information at Los Alamos, number one. And then, oh, why did that reporter say he worked for Los Alamos? Because there's a story of him with a rocket car. And he said he was a physicist at Los Alamos. The reporter has openly said, like, I just believed Bob Lazar because why would you lie about that? Like, I just wrote it in and I never double checked. So, so many lies.
So many. So many, but some truths that he just doesn't talk about is his first wife being a murderer.
Yeah,
Convicted.
So, yeah, Bob, I mentioned earlier, it's like how everything clicked for me when I found out Bob Lazar was a divorced guy. I should tell the story, like, the cold open is this, but that's another thing is like he's acting all incredulous of like, can you believe all these things happened? And what he's saying is basically that to work at a top secret place, you needed security clearance, which is true. I have friends who have worked in the State Department. You need security clearance to do a lot of stuff. And it's a really intensive process and it's really hard to get it. So they look into you a lot, but also they will have subtle monitors and do things like tap your phones to make sure you're still in good standing, especially if they think you're leaking information. So Bob Lazar is talking about like, I can't believe they bugged my phone. I'm like, yeah, you were a contractor for the Defense Department. Of course they bugged your phone. And then in one of the interviews where he took his friends to like watch a spaceship where he like was forbidden property, they're like, yeah, you can't bring yahoos to a test site for jet planes. Like, you're incredibly dumb, Bob Lazar. And then they were like, it's like, I can't believe they listened in. And then they played him a clip of his second wife, which we will get to after Misty tells us her discoveries. But of his second wife, who was trying to become an airplane instructor, basically like he found out that his wife was fucking her flight instructor because after he brought friends to watch a flight, the like G-men took him into like an interrogation and was like, we tapped your phones and know you're lying to us. Also, click, here's your wife having an affair. It's just, it makes Bob Lazar finally makes sense to me now. It is just the eternal Mel syndrome of I have to get back at my ex-wife. This is why we respect Stan Johnson, going back to the start of the podcast, because he was happily married for like 60 years.
And he was like certifiably insane. And like, I don't know how like
but yeah.
I've been seeing like some stuff on the internet about how like when people go crazy, they always go right wing. I don't think that's the case with Stan Johnson. He went crazy and he didn't go right wing.
He didn't.
As someone probably going through the throes of like psychosis right now, is when you go crazy left wing, you tend to just be like, I believe in weird things, but whatever, I just got to live my life and get through this, man. And when it's like, when you're doing the Bob Lazar thing of like, it's such a complicated blame game because he's like, as we'll explain why he can't get too mad at his wife for having an affair with her flight instructor. Like, he can't get mad at that situation, but his life still sucks. So it's like, I know who to blame. The government, because they told me about it and are firing me because of my own actions. No, it's the government because they did these 2 bad things to me. But yeah, let's Misty, why don't you get into your portion of the Bob Lazar story?
Yeah, so I discovered while revisiting Bob Lazar and my frustration of why people still even believe this guy, I discovered that his first wife, Carol, was convicted. It's not funny. Was convicted of second-degree murder in 1975. So this was before she met Bob. I guess she was running with like allegedly, I don't know much about this part, Oakland Hells Angels. So how the story goes is her and 2 friends decide to break into this guy's house. She held the friend of the man at gunpoint while her 2 friends stabbed and shot the other guy to death. Then they took the friend and told him to inject himself with something. He ends up surviving and escaping. They end up capturing her a day later. They find her in her car sleeping with a 15-year-old boy. So then she pleads guilty and is sentenced to, we don't know exact dates, but at least 5 years in prison. And she had a potential release date in like 1977. So after serving her time, she became like this test technician at Fairchild. And that's during this time she marries Bob. And at this time, Bob is 20 and she is 37.
Ooh.
Yeah.
He just doesn't know how to pick him, I guess.
I mean, we'll get into that. But also just a very fun fact of like about again how Misty is like helping me understand Bob Lazar is at this time. So Bob and her, what was her name again?
Carol. Now Carol Lazar.
Bob and so Bob and Carol got married in Woodland Hills, California. Shout out, that's the hospital where I was born, is in Woodland Hills, California. So that's awesome. Another thing of my hometown to be proud of. Also, just as a side note, the only higher education we have of Bob Lazar is he took a chemistry course at Pierce Junior College. Shout out Pierce. My dad had a class there that he skipped the day I was born, and I think he just never went back. So kudos to that. And also is the workplace of my best friend's mom. So go Pierce. But yeah, so 20-year-old marries a 37-year-old.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then it goes places.
Yeah, so they relocate to Los Alamos. And I think they work together in the Los Alamos labs, and they start their little photography shop together. And I think there was some good research done by Signals Intelligence. You can see he has some Medium articles and he has some Reddit posts where he's gone through and interviewed people who knew Bob, and a lot of people who worked with them just had claimed that they just thought their age difference was odd, and that a lot of them didn't seem to like socializing with Bob. And Bob was kind of that coworker you were like, I don't want to. Oh no, I don't. Here comes Bob. Also, I guess he'd talk to people about his cars a lot, and he'd put jet engines on his cars and bikes.
Mm. Are we gonna say it or just let that speak for itself?
I think we can let it speak for itself.
Okay, we'll do that.
And in some ways, I think Bob, just knowing Carol was found with a 15-year-old boy in her car at one point, and that Bob was 20 and she was 37, Bob might be a little bit of a victim here. In a way.
Are you telling me a woman
as a sexual predator? You know that they can't be those.
Misty, you don't understand. She's part of the reputable and hallowed institution of the Oakland Hells Angels, also known as the security the Rolling Stones hired at the Altamont concert, paid them in beer, and then they stabbed a black kid and ended the 60s.
So their marriage lasts until well,
Her death.
Her death until her suicide, alleged suicide.
Alleged, God.
In 1986. Yeah.
You're suggesting that she faked her death.
Well,
oh, Christopher. Just you gotta listen.
Oh my gosh, this is great.
So then we meet Tracy Ann Merck. So Tracy was actually hired by Carol to work at the photography shops. And her and Bob get close, and they actually tie the knot before Carol's death. So him and Carol never get a divorce. They never officially divorce. There's not really talks of a divorce. But Bob and Tracy marry in Vegas, and the marriage certificates are delivered. But of course they're not legitimate because he's still married to Carol at the time. And then Carol, goes into their garage and
I just wanted to her garage.
Oh, her
because
garage.
At some point they never explain it. She and also Bob doesn't really talk about it either. Bob is in Los Alamos, which is in New Mexico. Carol just up and moves to Vegas and buys a house.
Yeah.
And then
goes into her garage.
So it's
and puts the car on, dies of carbon monoxide poisoning. She isn't found. We don't really know because no autopsy was ever done. I think her last point of contact was April 19th. She wasn't found until the 21st, which was like just 2 days after Bob and Tracy got married. And after the marriage, so Bob and Carol had a conversation on the 19th, and then Bob went to go race his cars immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Just by himself, I think. Tracy wasn't there.
So to reference, because this is some detail I'm now getting in the timeline, is the day that Carol Brian Kilmeade herself, Bob Lazar went to the Clark County courthouse and committed the crime of bigamy with his former co-worker at the photo shop, Tracy, who was hired by Carol, who, quote, had a special kinship with her because they were both like teenage runaways who had a rough life or something.
Mm-hmm. And then Tracy was 6 years younger than Bob. So there was an age difference there, but not as bad as.
Well, like, what ages were they?
That's a good. This is
the higher the age, like I feel like the larger the difference, like, can be.
So if he was, I think she would have if him and Carol got married in 1980 around, and he was 20 then. Carol died in 86, so he had to have been about 26, so about 20 and 26, right? That makes sense.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Awful. It's not a bad age difference.
I mean, I feel like I think a lot of younger people just have this sort of warped view of age differences because they like live with their parents longer. I feel like when you're living on your own, you like learn things. You're more of an adult, right? Like I think that's a big phenomenon that's happening. Like they still are at least somewhat mentally children because they're living with their parents.
Right.
So like the idea of like being with someone even a little bit older is just like, oh no, they're so much more older, they're grooming me or whatever. I don't know.
I mean, obviously, it's not like back in the day where before you could actually legally start drinking, you were shacked up with an almost 40-year-old woman who basically controlled your life. That's when men used to really get it done.
Dude,
So, where were we? So, Bob comes to Carol's home on the 21st and
Yeah.
finds her in the garage. Calls, they don't do an autopsy, but somehow it's not really clear. It comes out that I read it was pancreatic cancer, that she had pancreatic cancer and that's why she took her own life.
Which obviously we would know that she had pancreatic cancer because her medical records were not released, so we do not have a doctor confirming the diagnosis. And of course, pancreatic cancer is something you could only tell someone has if you do test or, perform an autopsy. So we had so much ample evidence that she actually had this disease.
Yeah. So, and then after that, in the October of that year, Bob and Tracy get remarried and actually married this time. And then they move into Carol's home.
Yeah. So when Bob Lazar is allegedly working at S4, he is in his dead ex-wife's house with his new wife. Also, Misty, you're forgetting the part that confirms it was absolutely suicide.
Oh yeah, her suicide note that just said, "I did it by myself."
Unsigned.
That's all it says. I did it by myself.
I don't want to conjecture, but I think we've told Bob Lazar could have told a much better lie that conformed with the facts and information on the ground to be a more convincing teller of the story. And I am, whenever I see it, this is kind of like the Charlie Kirk bullets, which is just triggers off a bunch of stuff. Because what is it, something like 80 or 85% of people who commit suicide do so without leaving any kind of note or documentation of why they did it or anything. So typically when someone does, they're trying to make a statement and confirm things. It's not just well, I got to kill myself. Oh, got to make sure they know it was me. It seems so not what happens when people kill themselves.
Yes, so that was the strangeness around his first wife's death. And there's the strangeness of Carol in general.
Mm-hmm. There was a rumor that she may have timed it to have it so someone could take care of Bob.
Yes.
After she passed, which is why all the timing is weird, and why she happened to, die while Bob had a, documented reason to be out of town. Which I think they confirmed he was at that race, right? I don't know. I didn't really look into it, but
I think they confirmed. I mean, she did. They confirmed her last sighting with a phone call with him on the 19th. That was her last sighting of being alive. And then her being found on the 21st was obviously, they just did that as her death. I guess they did some blood tests. They didn't do a full autopsy, but coroner took some blood at the scene, and that's how she died of carbon monoxide poisoning.
Right. Also, the only mention Bob Lazar ever has of his dead first wife is that the one price he was not willing to pay was the life of his wife Carol, and he just kind of alludes that the government killed her, which I don't know. I wouldn't want to, unless you have some evidence. I'd maybe hold back on having Clark County Sheriff's Department or Vegas PD reopening that case. I don't think it will be good for you, Bob. I'm not saying you did anything. I'm just saying this is not something you're going to get closure on.
Yeah. So then he goes on to his second wife.
And gets cucked by. Now, I just want to have some other conjecture. And one of the reasons I have a lot of animosity towards Bob Lazar is one of the things he does to build his credibility is he goes on and says, like, I'm not, I was friends with John Lear, but he believed in some crazy shit. And then proceeds to mention a lot of the weird and insane beliefs John Lear has. Again, listen to our episode on that magnificent gentleman. And that pissed me off because it's like, say what you will about John Lear, he believed in things and also had an insane life. But unlike Bob Lazar, who had to lie about everything that would give him credibility, you know why I would trust John Lear to have some inside information about the government? Because he was a fucking CIA contractor for like the entirety of the Vietnam War. And that was just like a side project for him. He was never like, oh yes, my time as a spook, let me see some real dark things. It's like, no, I worked for the CIA. I will never talk about it. And also, I independently discovered alien stuff. Let's talk about that. Which is just awesome. He's like, these are two separate tracks, so I'm not going to combine them.
Also, this man has filed bankruptcy a lot.
Yep.
No, honestly, I think that tracks.
Yeah.
Well,
Which
do you want to know one of the reasons?
What?
It doesn't necessarily make you untrustworthy, but I think
it's just impulse control. Like
Right.
I mean, you don't have
It's impulse control over his many failed businesses, to including I do think, listen, one of the things that people like to point to be like, oh, it's just character assassination on Bob Lazar. The one thing we didn't get into is how he and Carol may have run a brothel, at least according to the United States government. That's a whole separate thing. Is he has run multiple businesses where he's like sells scientific and alien equipment and technology, and he's been raided multiple times by the federal government. Specifically, I think it's ATF, because some of the material he sells is technically radioactive. So he's just shipping radioactive material across state lines, and they're like, you can't do that as a civilian. Also, let's just go into the thing that, like, I think what is going to uniquely piss Chris off is how familiar are you with like the periodic table of elements?
I mean, I took I had to take 2 semesters of chemistry, but it was a long time ago. Why?
Well, because Bob Lazar claims that the alien spacecraft, which he calls the sports car, is powered by a stable version of element 115.
So is that one of the ones we haven't discovered yet, or?
Well, it was undiscovered at the time of Bob Lazar coming forward. It was discovered, I want to say, in 2003. I think it's called Moscovium.
But see, when you get that far down on the periodic table, I guess it could be radioactive. That could power something. What?
Well, the thing that always, like, people would like to point to that is like, how could he know 115 was an actual element if we hadn't synthesized it yet?
The table organizes it by valence electrons, and they have similar like chemical properties. And so he literally like the OG I think it was Mendeleev. Like he predicted, oh yeah, there's going to be these kind of elements, and like lo and behold, we discovered them.
Yeah. because also he describes it like it's just like a traditional fuel or it's like a solid or whatever, and I think the longest we've been able to have a stable version of 115 is like
Yeah, that happens with a
nanoseconds.
lot
Like
farther down.
yeah, so and I think it's one of those elements where like the nature of it is it can only be synthesized, and B, like even if we have better technology, it's not something that's going to be stable.
No.
So yeah, but he says
I mean,
it's
all the
stable.
ones that we
use it
haven't
to-
discovered, like past a certain like time period, we're gonna be really unstable. Because like if they were
Yeah.
stable, we would have found them already, right? Because they'd stay the same
Well,
for a long period of time, and be like, oh, look, an element we found.
You're not one of these free thinkers who is outside the box thinker, which is why they were hired by the Defense Department. You went to your government mind control schools.
Yes.
Yeah, that's just something I know. I know you hate like bad
fun
science.
Fact. So like all these tourists, so like there's a shuttle that goes into town like every hour that like both the tourists and workers can use. And I was overhearing this conversation of like a couple of like mid like 30s white moms, and this mom was talking about like homeschooling her kid and like feeling judged about it. And she's like, well, like she like this kid was maybe 4 or something, and she's like, hey, a kid's name, like rattling off like things about like what plants can you eat and that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, that might be helpful if you're living out in the woods, right? If you want your kid to live out in the woods, then yes, teach them like what plants can you eat, all this other stuff, survival stuff. But like you're on a tour bus, like you probably were on a cruise ship. Like I feel like that knowledge isn't as applicable if you're going to live in civilization. Like,
well, it's also like I'm open to the argument of like obviously
I think homeschool can run the gamut, right? It's all about like
it can
your parent and like how invested they are in actually preparing you for like living in the world
life.
And
yeah,
I don't know.
I think that all of us obviously have a very personal connection to the current state of the educational system, and I think uniformly we all fucking hate it and think it needs to be restructured.
It's bad in California. So.
But I'm sympathetic to schools not really a place to learn facts. It's a place to like socialize and
that's a big part
get
of
some
it,
like deeper level critical thinking. So I don't think you're helping the kids by saying like, oh, we're just going to teach you a really weird form of Christianity that no one else is going to get if they didn't grow up in our sect, and like what plants to eat. And then I'm sure you'll be fine with other children.
I don't
just
know
be like,
if
can't eat
she was one of the religious ones. She mentioned like, I think they should probably move around a lot. She was talking about living in the some Nordic country for a while. I don't know.
Yeah. So Bob Lazar, divorce guy extraordinaire, liar of all hell. Oh, and also, I tried to watch his new episode with Joe Rogan. It was god awful. I got really pissed off when he was like saying John Lear was crazy because he believed in soul capture things. And it's like, yes, but that's his charm. And also, I can say that because I'm not trying to sell you. Yeah, this dude's just insane. Also, can I tell you my story about a UFO and why flying saucers are real? Like, no, you can't fucking do that. Also, one of the people on Lex Friedman who said that I wasn't really paying attention to who was saying it, but one of these guys was like, yeah, no, Bob Lazar's full of shit. And I know, because like I'm a neuroscientist and these things don't match up. And then I wasn't paying attention. So YouTube played the whole video. And then he was like, anyway, let me tell you about the alien skull I found in the Andes. And I'm like, oh, you're also an insane person and you don't believe Bob Lazar. Cool. You just think he's full of shit. Great. But yeah, but he was like, it was, I think it was great. Is like, I don't want to like open up too much, but this is connected. Is I basically, the big thing I talked about in therapy this week is I'm just like kind of adrift. Things are crazy. It's weird not having directions or a lot of like the structures I used to have in my life. And it basically was just like me going like, I don't know what's going on. I'm kind of nervous and scared that I don't know what's going on. And I only mention that because Bob Lazar, when I watched in his new Joe Rogan interview, was like, I don't know. I guess we're like food or something for other alien. Like, what are we here? Like, what's the point of it all? And it's just like, dude, like, I don't want to be one of those like therapy would have saved him guys, but I'm just like, it was so funny that I unintentionally just am like, oh, I'm going through these things. What I should do is talk to a professional and help me learn some coping skills, or maybe do some self-reflection of like what turning this feeling into an opportunity to pursue things or get ready. And Bob Lazar is like, well, I'm too narcissistic to think anyone can help me, and I'm stuck in this damn alien story. I don't know. Are we just like soul farms? Do we get consumed? Man, there are other dimensions. And of course, he's seen a bunch of weird science stuff because of the circuits he goes to. He's like, man, there's a lot of other dimensions. I don't know what the fuck this means, and I'm scared.
I mean, Bob did have to go do therapy after getting charged with pandering for his prostitution ring. That was one of his sentencing. Was going to psychotherapy. So they tried.
I mean, I feel like being forced to go to psychotherapy isn't. It's not gonna help.
It's not helpful.
Something.
Yeah, you never know.
And I wonder if they just focused on the fact that he was running a brothel.
Probably.
Yeah. Which is also just it is such a like he just like he doesn't fully deny it, but he's like, oh, I was doing something and they were just kind of railroading me. And it's like, here's the thing, buddy. Even if I believe that story and I don't think that involves your credibility, there's everything else about it. Like, I think the reason we're bringing up that he has a felony pandering charge so late in the episode is because it's like, yeah, we don't care. There's so many other like clear signs that this man is just a fraud.
Yeah.
And everyone's always going like, I think what it is why specifically like this trend of white dudes believe him is because it gives them a way to kind of go into and acknowledge a lot of the like problems they see, but to have an excuse where they don't have to change the system. And this is a seemingly trustworthy figure. And I point to George Knapp is because he's always going like, oh, there's aliens and all of this. And why is there so much government secrecy? And I'm like, dude, you got famous because your first major story as a reporter was breaking the fact that the United States had an invisible jet that we were just using to bomb South American countries. Like,
can you not put two and two together?
Yeah, it's just like, man, things are fucked up. And I don't know how much we'll talk about it in one of our future disclosure episodes, but all of these people are talking about this, like all of these things is like, isn't it weird that all of these like nuclear scientists who have top secret clearance and have worked on these like hush hush projects for the Defense Department are just mysteriously disappearing? And I'm like, I mean, yeah, it is. And we should investigate it and we should ask questions. But why does it have to be related to UFO materials as opposed to like, hi, I'm a 3-star general who ran our intelligence operations in Southeast Asia for like 20 years. Anyway, I'm going to disappear mysteriously. Like, I don't know. If I was, say, hypothetically, the Chinese government and I was as unethical and evil as Americans like to say we are, I would just assume, yeah, the Chinese intelligence services probably murked that guy or kidnapped him. Like, Like we brag about the fact of like about how we were able to assassinate Iranian nuclear scientists in these like cool and elaborate ways, and it's like, so why wouldn't other people do that of like the equivalent of our weird projects or like deep state stuff? Like, yeah, there are questions, but it doesn't have to be aliens. It can just be like the other million horrible things the US empire does.
Nope, it's aliens. I can't
Yeah.
be part of all that evil. It must be aliens.
I have to question everything about it. Oh no, it's also not the government. It's a select group of people who are secretly controlling things.
I mean,
It's like, okay, even if that's true, they could be doing it for material earthly means.
no. Got it. Well, I mean, who says aliens aren't material?
Oh, okay. Damn it, I've been beaten by the dialectic once again. But yeah, I'm this is like I don't know. This is, I think, gonna be an interesting couple episodes because like this is, I think, the thing that really got me into like conspiratorial, like the thing that got me into modern and political conspiracy was the Barack Obama birther stuff. But like as a kid, like X-Files and like alien stories and UFO shit, like I ate that shit up. I was like obsessed. I'm like really like into it, and I'm like really open to like there is something beyond what we know and a structure.
Of course.
But I'm also like, A, I want some kind of evidence, and B, it's like I don't want to be too edgelordy atheist, especially after like Richard Dawkins was convinced of the AI he was fucking. But I like it's the Douglas Adams quote. It's like, it's a beautiful garden. Why do there need to be fairies underneath it? It's like, yeah, it's a vast, unknowable universe with forces far beyond our control. Why do they have to be just like really sexy Nordic people who are like giving us destiny? Can't it just be like there's infinite possibilities and things we can't even imagine? And that's kind of beautiful and exciting. It's that kind of exploration and drive is what separates higher beings from like just like animals or whatever.
Did you
It's
tell
like,
everyone
that's
about
cool.
the thing that kid said in one of the classes I was subbing in?
No, I didn't. Go for it.
So I was subbing in an elementary sped class, obviously before I moved here to Alaska, and like it was right around that time that like there was those Bigfoot sightings in Ohio. And the kid said something all along the lines of like Bigfoot is punishing us for the war in Iran, and I thought that was awesome. Like, yes,
I mean,
He could be. Stan Johnson might argue.
huh?
Stan Johnson might, they are peaceful creatures according to Stan, but even a peaceful creature can only take so much abuse, right?
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
Did we ever think that, Bigfoot is just a proud Shia Muslim, or Iranian Shia or Sunni?
No, I think we've already established they don't take any stock in our earthly religion. No.
Stan Johnson's Bigfoot don't, but the Ohio people,
No,
I don't
Stan
know.
Johnson's Bigfoots are the only Bigfoots.
Okay. Yeah, it's that's the other thing is Bob Lazar having to be like, like not everything has to be connected. And that's why John Lear was magical. He was just like, I don't know, lizard aliens did 9/11, but different aliens are stealing our souls. It's like, cool. Love it. Let's do some real 1960s Marvel ass comic book shared universe shit. Fuck it, why not? Let's have fun.
And that's fun.
Not
yeah.
this like sterilized, easy corporate, everything's just setting up, not just like, I don't know, here's another random thing.
Yeah, and his story's old. Guys, come on, it's been decades at this point. Aren't we bored? Bob's been around so long at this point. He says the same goddamn shit. Nothing new. He's got nothing new for us. Bob, talk about Carol.
Even his crimes are boring
Yeah.
now. Like, oh, I just basically did business. I did interstate business without the proper licensing. Like, come on, go back to running a brothel, man.
Bob, did you know Carol was convicted of second-degree murder?
That is a great question.
Bob, did you know?
Bob, do you know? Did you? What do you know about your first wife, Bob?
Bob, were you okay when you were 20?
Bob, hurt people. And sometimes when you're hurt, you carry on a 40-year bit about how you saw a UFO that was made out of a single piece of metal at Area 51.
This could have all spiraled, yeah. Bob is just a victim. Not really.
I mean, you can start out as a victim and then lose that status over the decades.
I see your kitty. Misty.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Kitty.
But I will say this is, with this chaotic is everything going on, I've started a research for our next episode where we're going to talk about the more kind of modern disclosure movement. And let me just say, just so we can get more people to hate us, like when we talk about Candace Owens, that, yeah, Bob Lazar is continuing a great tradition of just divorced guys who lie, and it's continued on by people like David Gorsh, who has multiple reports for domestic violence from his local sheriff's department and a history of alcohol abuse. The things that normally would prevent you from getting security clearance or having it revoked, all of a sudden saying, there are aliens. You can't be mad at me. There are aliens. I need my job and I don't have a wife anymore.
We love it.
It's gonna be there are divorced lies for people who have eyes.
And don't worry, we'll also get into all the fun conspiracy theories that have been popping up, re-popping up with the new UFO files being dropped.
Oh yeah, this originally was going to be just like, all right, let's just do a disclosure thing, and then like there's just so much symmetry of like the new Bob Lazar documentaries, and then evolution of some TikTok. It's just like people are alien crazy right now, but in like the dumbest way possible. And honestly, it is a little like it's a little bit of hope I have right now of just like seeing these weird people taking their moment, like. Lou Elizondo he looks like the guy in your community theater who's like, we need you to play like one of the cartel guys from Breaking Bad. And he's like, got it. So he's just like a kind of doughy middle-aged guy with like the faux hawk, but he has a lot of terrible tattoos. And it's just like, I love it. And he's like, there are secrets, man. I saw things at the Pentagon. It's like, cool, dude. Please tell me more.
Well, I think that wraps up our show.
It does. For American Dreamland, I'm Max Chavez.
I'm
Would
Misty
anybody
Stone.
be interested? I might do some more research into specific Alaska Bigfoot mythology. From what I understand,
yeah.
it's like a lot darker. Bigfoot's not a very nice character.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be down.
Sinister. Yeah. All right. Let's just do clean closing for edit. So, for American Dreamland, I'm Max Chavez.
I'm Misty Stone.
And I'm Christopher Locken.
Anything that was claimed classified from Bob Lazar's story, every single thing that he says was classified, we've found in sources, unclassified public sources before that. I can name every single piece of classified intel that he's ever spoken about. I can cite that in sources that predate his disclosure.